everyone, and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our June 28th, 2021 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the availability of Zack Snyder's Justice League for home video. We're going to be talking about, yes, a Smallville animated sequel, comic books, latest episode of Superman and Lois, when it will be back, and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host. He nearly fell asleep before the show, he told me. Let's hope he stays awake for the whole show. Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
I will stay awake before the show, I promise. I'm doing great, sir. How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well. What's new in your world?
Nothing. I just recently discovered that I had a brother, and now his dad is torturing me. So I don't really know how to feel about that yet. But we're gonna power through this, and we're gonna get it. It's gonna be fine.
Nice. So how do people get involved in tonight's show?
Well, it's really simple because we are on YouTube, WGBS Live, that is, and because we want to hear from the people that are watching us live on YouTube right now. I cannot speak tonight. Apparently, I did need that nap. Basically, you're going to need Skype. About halfway through the show, if we don't have too much going on, we'll take calls. And to do that, we're going to need Skype. You're going to get on Skype, you're going to search for Superman Homepage, and then you're going to message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, a couple of things. One, message us. Don't just call, because that can screw things up. Also, if you're using an external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please mute that, because we are on a bit of a delay, and that can screw things up.
Yes, indeed. And for those who are tuning in live via YouTube tonight, we invite you to join in there and chat with fellow fans. Post your comments in the comments there on YouTube. Ask questions. Michael and I will keep an eye on that and react to them as the show goes on. And if you want your comment or question featured live on the show as we go to air, well, that's called a super chat. All you have to do is click the little dollar symbol there. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the amount you're willing to donate, and we'll feature your comment or question live on the screen as the show goes to air. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And if you want to support the Superman homepage, then you can click the join button below there on YouTube, or you can head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, Mike, it's been another interesting week in the world of Superman. There's been a few things going around about the world of the Man of Steel. We like to start with movie news as we always do, and I was wondering when you guys in the US might get Zack Snyder's Justice League on home video. It is the Blu-ray that I picked up a couple of weeks back now here in Australia, but we're seeing now that the US release of Zack Snyder's Justice League will take place on Tuesday, September 7th.
Yeah, at first, I only saw like a thing about the trilogy, and I was wondering if they were going to pull one of those shenanigans where, you can get it, but you've got to buy like the whole thing. But luckily, you can buy it on its own, which I probably will end up doing. And then, of course, they'll probably re-release it like a month or two down the road in like a steel book edition or whatever, because that's usually what they do. But I'm surprised it's actually taken them this long, that we're having to wait this long to get it.
I guess that's probably something to do with HBO Max wanting people to still subscribe and watch it there, if possible. So we're showing you the 4K Ultra HD. This is the Blu-ray, standard Blu-ray release, and it will also be available on DVD. I imagine that the 15 on the bottom there is not the amount of discs that it fits on, because it is a 4-hour movie, and DVDs don't hold that much. But it's a 2-disc DVD collection. I don't know if that means it's a double-sided DVDs. Remember those? I used to have them on both sides.
Yeah, I hated that too, because one side was like widescreen and one side was full screen, and it was always a giant pain in the butt. I never guessed right, and I would always have to eject it and then put it back in again to get to the widescreen, which is what I really wanted in the first place.
Yeah, well, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, you only have the IMAX ratio, which is not what is ideal for home video release, because you get the black bars on the side of your TV with widescreen TVs these days. But that kind of got me going at the beginning. But it will be released September 7th on a 4-disc Ultra HD combo pack, a 2-disc Blu-ray combo pack, and a 2-disc DVD collection.
Yeah, the whole IMAX ratio. I actually saw a couple of arguments in favor of it, and it's just like, well, you can see so much more of the world, like the apocalypse world and all that. I'm like, then put it in the widescreen. Don't
Yeah.
don't don't justify it by having it like above it because like 5 people, exaggerating of course, 5% of the audience is going to see it in IMAX, so get that. Why not just make it so that you can see all of that? But we have to maintain. I have no patience for this type of thing right now, so maybe I shouldn't even talk about it, because it's just like the idea of we're trying to maintain the artistic integrity. Haven't you kissed this guy's butt enough? I mean, he got a 4-hour cut of a film that would never have gotten a 4-hour cut otherwise. So I think yeah, you should be happy with what you're getting. But
Well, if you ask the Snyder fans, they reckon Warner Brothers are doing everything they can to dismiss Snyder and work against him. I mean, I just never happy.
if somebody hated me and then gave me $70 million to do something, I'd be very okay with that.
Indeed. So yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League available on Blu-ray and DVD, and then it's also available, as you said, in a trilogy pack, which is an interesting terminology, because it's not the actual trilogy that he intended with Justice League, but it is a trilogy of films, starting with Man of Steel, then Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. It will be available, I think, also on September 7th. So you have the choice of buying it either as a complete film on its own, if you already own Man of Steel and the Ultimate Edition of BVS, or you can get the 3 films as a trilogy as an 8-disc Blu-ray collection.
Well, that's I mean, they're attractive, but this just seems like you're gouging your audience at this point, because the fans of Snyder have already bought Man of Steel and they've already bought the Ultimate Edition. So it's just like to get like all these little extras, you have to buy all of that again. And maybe I'm not the one to talk about this, as I have like repurchased the Christopher Reeve films several times on several different formats. So maybe I'm living in a glass house, but yeah, that just seems like you're kind of gouging your audience at that point.
Well, I guess the gouging will start when they then release Justice's Grey version down the track. The black and white version of the film, because that's not included on this this home video release as yet. So, yeah, if they want to, they can. Are you taking some aspirin?
Yeah, you just gave me a headache. Yeah, that just gave me a headache. I'm sorry. I just, oh man. They are going to do that, aren't they? They're going to do a steelbook release of the Justice's Gray with an exclusive Jim Lee artwork for the Best Buy release. Oh, ow. Why?
Because they can.
No, that's true.
And because people will buy it.
That's also true.
Yes, so that's September 7th. So yeah, you can pre-order that through Amazon. Some of them are not yet available, but you can list them on your wish list or what have you. All right, let's move on to the television side of things, where the latest episode of Superman and Lois, episode 12 of season 1, was titled. What was the episode titled?
A brief reminiscence in between cataclysmic events.
Yes, that's exactly what it was called. A very short title there, so easily remembered. This episode was, for the most part for me, fantastic. I absolutely loved the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the extended origin story we got of Lois and Clark's romance and relationship, and we saw more of the shots that were filmed for the pilot episode. We got heaps of him in the costume. We got a classic villain thrown in there as well, and then kind of things fell off the rails a little bit for me with coming back with Morgan Edge and that side of the story and where things ended up. I was loving the beginning, and then I kind of, I don't know, I'm not really buying this whole Morgan Edge as his half brother story at the moment.
I'm kind of on the oddly enough, I'm on the other side of this. Usually, I'm the one not liking something, and you're defending it. I agree with you completely about the beginning part. There were two things in particular that I really liked outside of the shirt rip and the fact that he changed back in a phone booth, which just shocked me.
Hmm.
One, this is the first time in adapted material, and Smallville really doesn't count because Smallville is not a traditional telling of the origin. This is the first time Lois was in love with Clark before she was in love with Superman. In fact, she really wasn't in love with Superman at all. In fact, she didn't even want to talk about Superman. She wanted to talk about the little guy getting screwed over. And I really liked that as a deviation because usually she's all goo-goo eyes over Clark and or over Superman, and Clark like has to win her over. And this was the inversion of that, and it really worked for me. Two, I liked that they not only referenced Superman smashes the Klan on a visual level by having that Atom Man outfit from the beginning of it, but they kind of mashed up the Atom Man and Hate Mongers storyline. And it was just like, I was just watching it, I was like, are they kind of riffing on the Hate Mongers thing where they're going after like people of other ethnicities? That's wow, that's kind of a deep cut. But yeah, I really, really liked all of it, especially Lois tasing Henry Miller is as the way to take him out. I thought it was great because Superman took care of like the bigger threat, which was the grenades, and apparently Lex Luthor believes that not even his great speed can take care of two missiles, but this Superman can take care of two grenades. So yeah, score one for Tyler Hoechlin. I am of the opinion that Clark going off with Morgan Edge is a plan on the part of him and Lois. I think this is all something that they've worked out. I just think it's happening faster than they were expecting it to, because he looks at her and goes, "We needed more time," and I think it's because they wanted more time to prepare, but he has to kind of speed things up to save his family. Also, it kind of hurt inside when teenage looking like the bad guy in a 1980s skateboarding movie, Tal-Rho, through the crystal and his little Fortress of Solitude popped up, and they said the year was 1987. That hurt. That hurt a lot. It's like, wow, no, it's got to be older than that. I'm not old, you're old. Shut up. But yeah, Tal-Rho's dad is a jerk. Holy crud, is that guy a jerk?
Well, I guess that was the whole idea, was them juxtaposing Superman's, Clark's or Cal's upbringing in the fortress and his studying under Jor-El, and Tal's version of what happened with him and his father, and the lessons that he got taught. I don't know. I'm just really finding it really hard to buy that Morgan Edge waited all this time and became a power broker as a businessman, rather than just use his abilities to do what he's hoping Superman will do now.
Like we were talking about last week,
Mm.
I really think. Remember way back, I think it was like the second or third episode where it began with Morgan Edge and all those people like driving through the snow, and there was like a meteor shower going on. I think that's when the Eradicator came to Earth. He couldn't do what he wanted to do because he didn't have the tool to do that with him.
Which is something
So
he mentioned to his father when he,
yeah.
when they're in his fortress together. He says, "Have you found it yet?"
So if we're going to take Morgan Edge as being the inverse of Superman, where Superman is sent to Earth for love and Tal was sent to conquer. Tal keeping himself secret while Superman reveals himself would fit into that paradigm, because he's keeping it back until he's absolutely ready to do what he needs to do. And now the time has come for him to fulfill that plan. And bringing Superman over is kind of just like icing on the cake at this point. But I just have this feeling that Superman is not turned.
He's playing possum.
I could be proven wrong. I think he's playing along because he has to. So, but no, I get where some people, including yourself, are not feeling it. It's just weird that I am, like, so hardcore. Like, I buy into everything. Like I've justified it all in my head. So
fair
it's
enough,
kind of
fair
funny.
enough. Let's go through some of the questions that some of the fans are asking in our comments. John Patrick Van Pelt asks, I thought when Clark Kent first discovered the Fortress of Solitude as a young boy, man, wasn't the kryptonite green and not yellow? It's been different things in different iterations. In the comics, there's been a sunstone, which is, clear, not necessarily green. I always found it weird that they chose green in the Superman Richard Donner films, because for many people it was like an indication of kryptonite, a green glowing crystal kind of thing. So I never understood why they chose green. So it can be whatever color they want it to be.
Yeah, I like that it's kind of red here. It's still similar to what they did in Superman the movie, but just different enough where it's kind of stands on its own. The one point of that though was Morgan Edge going, I made mine in the desert because I like the sun. I don't think he understands how much sunlight is reflected off of snow. I mean, that probably supercharged Clark.
Yeah,
So, but that's just me.
Since when does Perry White wear glasses at the Daily Planet? Since they wear whenever they want him to. Perry can be and wear whatever he needs to wear and be.
It's funny. I saw somebody complaining that they didn't like the Daily Planet set, that it looked really cheap. They filmed inside of a real newspaper office in Vancouver. Yeah, it had shut down because of COVID, and they were able to use it. And I'm just like, that's really funny.
Yeah,
that's not realistic.
Yeah. Let's see here. Why would Jor-El lie to his son in the first place after all these years? That was a hard one for me to understand. Just where Jor-El, why he kind of left out certain pieces of information.
He probably didn't know that Tal had been sent to Earth.
Yeah,
so
true.
he probably assumed he was dead. So why bring up something that isn't relevant? Jor-El's very pragmatic, it strikes me, and he would not bring up anything that you didn't need. It's not like in Superman 2 where Superman was aware of the Phantom Zone villains, but that's because that was part of their history. So
yeah. Okay, so one of the other elements of the storyline from this episode was Jordan and Sarah's relationship. Suddenly, she's forgiven him for missing the thing, and all of a sudden, the first kiss happens, and they're a couple. That kind of escalated pretty quickly.
Yeah, as soon as that happened, and Kyle apologized to Lois, I knew things were going to fall apart completely. They were not going to let that happiness go. That's not how TV works.
Yeah, Kyle kind of redeemed himself a little bit, but I guess he's eating a bit of humble pie at the moment because he's been
I think he's eating crow, Steve. It's Smallville, so.
So yeah, he's really come full circle around and he's like now apologizing to Lois and realizes that Edge wasn't the savior who, all along he was thinking that he was. And so that kind of rang a little bit true for me. He was very apologetic.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he also realizes that he's going to get blamed, or he thinks he's going to get blamed. And I felt really bad for him on that, because all he was really doing from the very beginning was trying to protect his town and save it.
Mm.
in the best way he knew how.
Yeah, John Patrick Van Pelt's asking about Lois ringing John Diggle. She doesn't ring John Diggle, she rings John Henry Irons, is what we're assuming on the
I,
phone.
I could see where the confusion is because Diggle was in the trailer for the next episode.
Mhm. But yeah, she's definitely
So,
ringing what was Captain Luthor and is now John Henry
mhm.
Irons to say to him, look, what you thought was going to happen seems to be happening. Is that her losing faith in her husband?
No, again, I think this is all part of a plan.
Okay.
I honestly believe that.
All right. So when is the next episode about to air? Well, we have a bit of a break now. We have the promo trailer for the 12th episode of season 1 of Superman and Lois, but it is not airing until Tuesday, July 13th. So we have, what's that, 3 weeks to wait?
Hmm.
2 weeks
Yep,
from about now. So yeah,
two weeks at this point, but 3 weeks from last week.
that's right. So we have 2 weeks still remaining to wait. There's a repeat episode of Holding the Wrench from a couple of weeks ago. I think airs tonight there in the US. So a repeat, and then we have a couple of weeks to wait until we get the next new episode of Superman and Lois. Let's see a couple more questions. So Mark's asking who landed first now. Was it Cal or was it Tal?
It was Tal. Tal landed before Cal.
So yeah, that's definitely the case. He was here first and wasn't treated well when he landed. Um, let's see, what other questions do we have? So if the multiverse has been restarted, does that mean Superman's origin restarted?
No, well, I think we got the new origin in the first episode.
Yeah.
So I think whatever post-crisis shenanigans has happened to the world, we're in the midst of it.
Uh, isn't Jor-El still an AI? Yes, of course he's still an AI. He's definitely, but he was
And I don't think he's gone away.
no. Well, like the Russell Crowe's version, he seems to have been destroyed, but you think he's still out there somewhere somehow
I I could probably back up into the fortress drives. I thought
in the cloud.
the mirroring of Zod in Man of Steel saying I'm arguing with a ghost. Uh, Tal had a very similar line before he destroyed the crystal.
Mm.
And I appreciated that kind of referencing to it without being too on the nose with it.
Yeah, exactly. Justin said the bomb exploding in people's face was a weird one. Neil, in his review on our website, had a similar issue about using heat vision on a grenade within close proximity of people's faces. I guess there's probably some kind of issue there, but I guess the whole idea was to show that Superman could use other means of getting to both bombs rather than using his super speed.
Hmm. Yeah, and him getting blown away—that's just physics.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So let's look at the promo for the upcoming episode 12, which is titled Through the Valley of Death. Here it is.
It took him 7 minutes to wipe out Metropolis.
He has a family to fight for, which means he won't give up, and neither can we.
So he has a family to fight for, so he won't give up, and neither will we.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's all gonna come out. This was all part of an elaborate plan.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. And is there going to be another break after July 13th? No, I believe they'll probably go through with the rest of the 3 episodes after that. So we are 15 episodes of season 1. And so we will get the remainder of those episodes week after week. And then we will lead into the remainder of season 6 of Supergirl directly after that in August.
Yeah, I don't like that we're getting 3 weeks off, but because I'm really kind of wanting to see the next episode. But I guess
COVID.
Oh well.
Yeah, it is because of COVID. That's what Elizabeth Tulloch has let us know, that there was another reason that they had to take a break. Yes, John Diggle is in this upcoming episode. Says a hero will die or will fall. Who are we thinking?
I really don't know.
Hazard a guess.
I don't think it's going to be Diggle. It would be really weird to kill Diggle off in another show like that.
Yeah.
After him surviving. I mean, I think the reason why Diggle's there is because that actor directed one of the episodes, so he was already in the quarantine basically.
All right, we are at the halfway mark almost. We're going to take a quick break, play some commercials, and then we'll be back on the flip side to talk about Tom Welling revealing that he and Michael Rosenbaum are working on a sequel to Smallville. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying WGBS TV Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by visiting patreon.com/Superman homepage.
Up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Just try one. If you don't like it, it's easy to give up.
Uh-oh, nicotine. I'd better move fast. Up and away!
Go on, kid, go on.
Superman, is it hard to give up smoking, or is it easy like nicotine says?
You no good windbag, nicotine.
No, Superman. Leave me one. Please, I need one. Just...
That's how hard it is. That's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where, as I promised, we're going to be talking about a sequel to Smallville in animated form. Yes, in animated form. Tom Welling revealed that he and Michael Rosenbaum are working on a Smallville sequel in animated form via a cameo video that he did. He said, Michael and I are actually working on an animated series to bring those characters back to life and use as many of the original cast members as possible. But don't tell anybody. It's a secret. We're still working on it.
Yeah, I honestly, sorry, I'm just laughing at the idea of him thinking that somebody would just keep that secret.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors of this for a while now, and I remember hearing them kind of vaguely talking about it months ago. But yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years since the finale. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the show, so time is right.
Yeah, well,
to have something animated come out.
For sure. Here's the video, and then we'll discuss what they might do.
Coming your way, Michael Rosenbaum and I are actually working on an animated series to bring those characters back to life and use as many of the original cast members as possible. Don't tell anybody.
So there you have it. That was Tom in that video. So would it be based... There's some confusion because people are going, but didn't he lose his powers in the Crisis episode? they wouldn't be setting this after Crisis. They
Yeah.
would be setting this after the end of Smallville. Now, will they be adapting the season 11 comic books that came out? Quite possibly. You never know. Or they might do something totally original. But it would be therefore based on whatever happened after the season 10 finale in some capacity.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what they do with it, because I don't think they would go like back to high school, because I just don't see them doing that. And I don't see them doing like an alternate reality where they're taking it like from this season onward, just going in a completely different direction. It'd be interesting to see them adapt the comic. I only read a very little bit of that, so I'm not as familiar with it. But yeah, I just think it's funny that he's so willing now to, he's not going to play the character, but obviously he's willing to voice it.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I think he's come full circle in that regard, because obviously during the show he was very opposed to being typecast as Superman, and insisted on the no flights, no tights mantra, and then he didn't do any kind of promos, any kind of interviews, any comic conventions for a while, and then Michael Rosenbaum brought him into it, and now I don't know if he's finding work hard to find, or he's realizing that he should be buying into this, and has now started doing a lot of comic conventions. He's started doing a lot of podcasts about it, interviews about it, and now he's even talking about doing an animated series to re-embrace the character that he kind of was trying to leave behind for so many years.
Yeah, this happens from time to time. I mean, even Noel Neal and Jack Larson were kind of hesitant at one point to kind of embrace, the heritage that they had, and then they just came around to it. Yeah, more Superman content is not bad. And if they're really excited about it, and Smallville still has a rabid fan base, I really don't see a downside to this. No, I really don't.
I think it'll be a great idea. I think it's awesome that they're thinking about doing it. All right, let's move into. Hang on, before we do that, John's asking, how would they introduce Batman? Because I remember reading all the Smallville season 11 comic books. Well, I mean, I guess they could do it anyway. There's always the possibilities of introducing characters from the Smallville side of things. They never really spoke about Gotham that much, but it was mentioned briefly in some episodes, or in newspaper clippings and things like that. They introduced Green Arrow. They introduced other characters, the Flash. So I guess there's a multitude of ways that they could bring back or introduce, Batman into, if they wanted to. I say don't. I say let's just let Superman be Superman without having to bring all these other characters in. Let him carry his own show for a change.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's let them establish this world before, if he is going to be Superman, let's let him establish that before they start dragging in the rest of the DCU.
Agreed. All right, let's get into our weekly and monthly segments, because this is the final episode for June. Let's start with the fan favorite segment of the show. All right, what was our fan favorite question from last week, Michael?
What is your favorite Superman kitchen accessory? And we did get one response to this from Jason Jaroslawski. He wrote, I have a Superman Wonder Woman salt shaker and a couple super glasses for cold Canadian beer.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah, that salt and pepper shaker set is a nice one. I don't have this, but I want it if they ever release it in Australian electricity. I want the Superman toaster. I mean, I could purchase it from Amazon, but because of our power, our adapters are different and our power source is different and we have a different voltage, it would probably explode. But I think that would be an awesome purchase. So I know some people do have it. And I'm not big on toast, but think that would be an awesome kitchen appliance to have.
I don't really have too much for the kitchen. I mean, I have coffee cups.
Yeah.
I have like 3 or 4 different Superman coffee cups, and like right here I have some glasses. Like this is the C2E2 tumbler that has the Jim Lee and the Joe Shuster on the other side of it, and stuff like that. But I haven't. The thing is that I would want to use them and then they get ruined.
That's the point. That's the problem. I've got some Superman cookie jars that aren't being used for cookie jars. They're on display here in my collection, but similar thing. I don't want to use them for that purpose. But there was also a Superman popcorn maker at the same time as that toaster that's available. That would be interesting. I love my popcorn.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can get. I mean, I have some oven mitts, and I have an apron.
Yes.
And all that, but it's just, I don't know. It's just like you could literally at this point fill your entire house, like every room of the house, with something Superman related, if you really wanted to. And I don't know if that's going overboard.
John Patrick Van Pelt says he has a water cup. Thank you for sharing that, John. And other people are saying they've got Superman glasses, Superman oven mitts. Justice says wasn't worth sharing, but Justice League mugs, stuff like that. No, each popcorn doesn't have the S on it. I think that would be a bit of a stretch. But the popcorn maker.
How would you even do that?
Very funny, Rom. Thank you very much. All right, so that was the fan favorite segment. Only one response for that. What is our new fan favorite question for this week, Michael?
What is your favorite Superman sporting apparel? I know what Steve's wearing next week.
Yes, very good. I will be wearing a jersey, but let's have a look at what other people have in their Superman collection as far as sporting apparel is concerned. There is the email at the bottom of your screen, info@supermanhomepage.com.
It's going to be hot, but I'll be wearing something too.
Oh, cool. Superman favorites, your favorite Superman sporting apparel. It can be baseball cap. It could be I've seen some football gloves. The different for American football. I've seen, what else have I seen? Oh, obviously
there's baseball shirts.
Yeah, Kevin Smith has custom made is it a hockey jersey?
Hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, hockey jersey.
Yeah, so all different types of Superman apparel out there for sporting fans. Send in your responses to the fan favorite segment. We'll get to those next week. All right, let's move into the big questions segment of our show.
Let's start with the big question.
Let's start with the big question. Michael, what was our big question from last week?
What do you think of the Warner Brothers animation making an Injustice animated film? The first response does not seem to be about that, but it was from Alex R. He says, Superman and the Authority is probably the most intrigued I've been for a Superman comic since Superman Rebirth ended.
He's
still not a fan of the
previous question.
I'm still not a fan of the decision to age John Kent, and still feel that it's a very wrong turn. The choice to make him the star of a Superman ongoing also feels like it will eventually be reversed. However, if anyone can make a good book from the bad premise, it is Tom Taylor. I still feel it will be a matter of time before a reset button is pressed. So
yeah,
that's fair.
Alex. Yeah, sorry, that's probably from an old question, a delayed response. Stephen Marshall wrote in saying, I know people are a little bit fed up of evil Superman stories, but I think there are a lot of interesting avenues they can go with the material. And from what I've read of and heard of Injustice, it's a fairly fascinating story. I'm not much of a gamer either, so the story will pretty much be fresh for me. Sorry, much looking forward to it. Okay, that's fair enough. I'm looking forward to it too. I just think there'll probably be other material that they could have adapted that would have been probably more interesting, but I think the Injustice story is definitely very interesting.
Yep. John Patrick Van Pelt wrote, since I've never even played Injustice game to begin with, I have mixed feelings about Warner Brothers Animation making an Injustice animated movie, and I at this point don't have any plans to see it in theaters or through the on-demand streaming options.
Yeah, I think it would probably be a direct to Blu-ray DVD. I don't think it would be a theater release, but Yeah, fair enough, John. I can understand the feelings around that. I know a lot of people were kind of have had enough about the evil Superman or Superman taking matters into his own hands. But this was an interesting story. It obviously was very popular with the video games and everything like that. It'll be interesting to see what element of the Injustice story they do adapt for the upcoming animated film.
Yep.
All right, so that
Alright.
was the responses for the big question. What is our new big question for this upcoming month?
What do you think of season 1 of Superman and Lois so far? What do you like and what don't you like?
Yeah, so let us know how you feel about Superman and Lois to date. We will read out those responses, which will probably be in the end of season 1, probably roughly when we get to this segment again at the end of July. So get involved in both the big question of our show. We've got the super secret soundbite coming up. By heading to supermanhomepage.com, you'll find the big question feedback form underneath the contact menu, and I am updating the question, the page right now as we speak, so that you will be able to send in your response ASAP to the big question segment of our show. All right, well, let's move into the super secret soundbite.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
All right, so the super secret soundbite from last month came from the animated film Justice Society World
War II.
Yes, and I haven't seen it as yet, but here is that sound for people to remember exactly what it was. Let's hear it again. Here it is.
My real name is Clark.
I don't understand. Weren't you just a reporter?
So that was the Flash talking to Clark, who reveals himself to the Justice Society superheroes. We had a number of people who guessed it right. Who were they, Michael?
They were Stephen Marshall, J.P. Rocha, and Luke Isabel.
Yes, well done to those 3 people for guessing where in the world of Superman that sound came from. Here is our new super secret soundbite. Take a listen.
I owe my life to you. What's your name? Lex Luthor. Meeting you, Superboy, is about the most thrilling thing that's ever happened to me.
So you have a meeting between Superboy and Lex Luthor, but do you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from? If you do, head to the Superman homepage website. Under the contact menu, you will find the super secret soundbite entry form. Send your entry in, and we'll read the names of each person who guesses it right when we return to this segment at the end of July.
Woohoo!
All right,
It's going to be a long wait, though.
Yeah.
July's a long month.
Yeah, it is indeed. And speaking of July, DC Comics have released, or DC Universe Infinite has released the content that digital subscribers to DC Universe Infinite will be able to read on that service in July. And there's a few interesting releases available for fans who are subscribed to them. I'll just go through some of them right now. I'm just turning some other images off. So what we do have to look forward to from the DC Universe Infinite subscription service, there's Justice League Endless Winter #2. There is also Future State Superman of Metropolis #1. And then there's the Future State Superman Worlds of War #1, amongst a slew of other comic books available throughout the month of July on the DC Universe Infinite service.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that much time has passed, but apparently it has.
Yeah,
So,
Future State seemed like yesterday.
yeah.
So they've already headed that way with those releases, which is cool for those people. It feels like they didn't have to wait that long. All right. Also, still sticking with the digital comic book side of things, I was interested to see an email in my inbox this week from Comixology. If you're a digital comic book fan, the DC Comics app that you have been reading your DC Comics digital books on will stop will close on July 28th. But don't worry, don't fear, your comics will still be available to read on the Comixology app, which is not as... well, I went through this whole process just last night. I went, okay, well, if I'm going to have to stop using the DC Comics app, let me go through the process of making sure my Comixology app is downloaded to my iPad and that I am signed into the same account that my DC Comics app was using for Comixology and Amazon for my purchases there. But you can't purchase comic books through the Comixology app, which is confusing. No. You have to do it through the Comixology website. And then they download and appear on your app on Comixology.
See, I always used the DC Comics app as just an organizational thing. Mm-hmm. Like I had like all of my non-DC books in the Comixology app, and then I would have all my DC books in the DC app just because it was better for me. This whole thing of not being able to purchase it directly through the app is something that I have never had to worry about. So I always buy mine off the website. Right. And I can do that on my iPad, or I can do it through the phone, or I can do it on my computer. Yeah. So it's an extra step, but it really doesn't bug me because the way I buy books is I'm usually going through the sales. So I want to see what the new DC sale is or the new Marvel sale, and it's just easier for me to use the site anyways. But I can see for people, I remember when Amazon bought Comixology, there was a huge uproar about it because you used to be able to buy stuff just directly through the app, and then then Amazon is like, nope, not doing that. We're not playing with Apple like that. So yeah, it's an inconvenience to be sure to some people. So I get that.
Yeah, because you pick up your iPad, you go into the app, and then you want to be able to, you can see what's released, and you can add them to your wish list, whatever the hell that is. And to be fair, you can, once you do go on the Amazon, if there is a particular, like you want action comics, you want to get it every time, you subscribe, and it will automatically be downloaded and purchased for you. It's just a weird extra step, as you mentioned, and having to go through all of Marvel and all the other companies there on Comixology app rather than just seeing the DC stuff is a little bit frustrating, but it's something that you just have to get used to. But fear not, all the books that you've purchased previously are still available. You don't lose access to those.
Yeah, Mind the Gap says this process is why I still get physical media. I get that too. And for some things, I'm still buying like trade paperbacks. In fact, they just announced that we're actually getting a volume 7 for the Golden Age Superman omnibuses. So they're going to release another volume of that. So yeah, having the digital thing is a convenience.
Oh,
and I will always look at it like that. I realize this is why I buy most of my books when they're on sale, is because I want to pay as little as humanly possible for them. But yeah, because one day Comixology may just go away, and all of that money you spent is just gone. But entertainment is so disposable, anyways, these days that it just doesn't feel as weird as it would like 20 years ago.
No, exactly. But yeah, I mean, not everybody has comic shops, comic stores near them. There are very few and far between in this day and age. Newsstands are not necessarily carrying them anymore, and bookstores, some have them, some don't. So it's the convenience, especially in a pandemic where you might not want to go out physically to go to a store. It's good to be able to have them, to be able to read them on your digital media.
And to my mind, and this is, I've thought this way for about 5 years now, it's really nice if you want to read a new issue, a new book, but it's gotten really popular and it's sold out everywhere else. You never have to worry about that with digital because it's always going to be there.
Available.
So yeah, it's one of those things where there are purists out there. I respect that. There are people that are only digital. I respect that too. I just think everybody's just got to do what feels most comfortable to them.
Yeah, exactly. John's asking what changes can we expect from Comixology after the DC Comics app closes, and what do Amazon customers get out of the deal? Nothing. It's just they're closing the DC app, and you just have to use the Comixology app. And there's no deals, there's no extra special things you have to do. It's just a different way, a different method. So that's all there is to it. All right, but looking at what is available this week for fans of comic book reading, this is what we have to look forward to for Superman fans this week. And there's only the one book, Infinite Frontier Secret Files #1 one-shot. It is a 80-page giant which collects the digital chapters that were already, I believe, published on Comixology. And then there's also the trade paperback of Future State Superman released this week as well. Then on the digital publishing side of things, Chapter 14 of Ruby Justice League is available to download tomorrow, Tuesday, June 29th. And that is what's available this week for comic book fans. Not a lot.
Justin says that you just can't buy the smell of a comic on digital unless Smell-O-Vision comes one day. It's funny because there is a certain generation of comic book fan that loves the smell of old comics. On the other hand, it's mildew. So I don't know if that's actually healthy or not to be smelling like the pages that are rotting. But still,
That's the thing. I love physical novels, like reading and smelling the paper, and but you're right, it's just the oldness of the paper that's the smell the mildew. But there is something about that smell that kind of brings back fond memories. But I do also have a Kindle, so
the weirdest thing for me though is I find it now, maybe it's just because I'm getting older too, I find it so much easier to read comic pages on a tablet at this point. It's like when I get like a physical book, it kind of hurts my eyes more, and I don't know what that is. And again, it could be, like I said, I had to get the transition lenses because my eyesight is just getting worse because old age. But it just seems like on the iPad that it's just easier to read.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm with you there. That's an interesting one. All right. Well, on the physical collectible side of things, we have XM Studios revealing that they have an upcoming Supergirl statue, a 1/4 scale statue. Not sure about the face sculpt on this. Very much Ava Sharp from DC Legends of Tomorrow more than Supergirl.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's an attractive statue, though. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and that's just a preview. We don't know what we haven't seen the full thing yet. Although I have seen a preview of a black and white version of what the statue might look like. It may change. This is just a preview of what's coming up, but we will let you know when XM Studios are taking pre-orders for this 1/4 scale statue. Nice.
Awesome.
Yep, so that's the physical collectible side of things. And you might have noticed my background at the moment is a Superman Returns background. There is a reason for that, and the photo actually comes from the Art of DC exhibition currently taking place in Tokyo. You might have heard that there is that new manga comic book coming out in Japan. And it times in with the Art of DC exhibition taking place in Tokyo. Superman homepage member and longtime friend Guthrie McLean lives in the area and went to the Art of DC exhibition and took a plethora of photos for us. The whole gallery is up there on our website. Here are just a couple that you might like to check out. Whoops, turn off the statue of Supergirl. So there's the Brandon Routh Superman Returns costume. There's the Christopher Reeve costume on display. There's the Kryptonite from Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice on display. A lot of promo artwork and storyboards also on display. A Batmobile tumbler there. and it's obviously up in a high-rise building there, looking out that window. So the exhibition for the Art of DC, the Dawn of Superheroes in Tokyo. Awesome. Thank you, Guthrie, for taking those photos.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And on that
I
note,
thought maybe it's because today was the 50th anniversary of Superman Returns coming out.
yes, on that note, let's do the This Week in History, where Superman Returns does feature.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right, going back to 1941, we have Superman number 12, which came out on July 2nd, 1941. This had 4 Superman stories in it: Peril on Pogo Island, The Suicide Murders, The Grotak Bund, and The Beasts of Luthor.
One second, let me grab. So was that
there? It is.
Superman number 12. Was that the one there in the middle?
Yep.
I actually have a physical copy of that, believe it or not. That's the oldest Superman item that I own.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, it's one of the patriotic covers. Jumping ahead to 1951, this came out on July 3rd, 1951. Superman number 72, which has The Unfunny Prankster, The Private Life of Perry White, and The Flight of the Failures. So, wow, that's nice, Superman. That's Clark, nice. Jumping ahead to 1961, on June 27th, we had Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 27, which had Lois Lane's Super Brain, The Battle of the Sisters, and The Last Days of Lois Lane. It has a great Silver Age color where Lois's head is all messed up. And then you have Action Comics number 279, which came out on June 29th, 1961, which had a Superman story called The Super Rivals, which were Samson and Hercules, and a Supergirl story, Supergirl's Secret Enemy. Dun, dun, dun. Also in 1961, we had Adventure Comics number 287, which had a Superboy story called War of the Superboys, and a Bizarro story, Jimmy Olsen's Kooky Scoops, which actually sounds like a restaurant chain. Jumping ahead to 1971, on June 29th, 1971, we had Action Comics number 403, which had a Superman story, Attack of the Micro-Murderer and the Man with the X-Ray Mind. There was a Vigilante story called The Impossible Legend, and a Superboy story, When Krypto was Superboy's Master. Tables certainly turned on him. Also that same day, Adventure Comics number 409, which had 2 Supergirl stories, Invasion of the Mermen and Fight with Fire Drake, and Legion of Superhero stories, The Condemned Legionnaires. Jumping ahead to 1991, we have Action Comics number 668, The Ghost of Luthor, which was one of those really cool issues after Lex Luthor, quote-unquote, died, and then came back as the clone of his own son. It was a whole thing. Jumping ahead to 2001, Supergirl number 59, which was when a prelude to Our Worlds at War crossover, and the Our Worlds at War Secret Files and Origins, which is kind of ironic that we also still have a Secret Files thing coming out. And then in 2011, Flashpoint Project Superman number 1. I have never read this story.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if it's any good or not.
Not much to it.
So.
All right. What about
in the real world? It's actually pretty simple. We have June 27th is the birth date of Dan Jurgens, who was born in 1959. And then on June 28th, not only do we have the birth date of Aliette Zurer, however you pronounce that name, who was Lara in Man of Steel, but you also had Superman Returns being released in 2006. I actually asked off for work that day so that I could get to the theater to see it. It was a whole big thing. Nearly claimed it as a religious holiday, but I don't think they were going to buy that.
No. Well, that's our show for tonight. Thank you, Michael, for This Week in History. Thank you, everyone, for watching WGBS TV Live. Thanks to all our friends there on YouTube participating in the comments. Thanks to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And thanks to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, Michael and I will be back for our next show on July, was it 5th? I think it is, next Monday. Enjoy your July 4th holiday. We will be back to talk then on Monday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, about everything that's happened in this upcoming week of Superman. Hope for you to join us then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.